Hello, and welcome to my final presentation. So I completed my practicum this semester at 2 sites, so I'm going to go through both separately. So I began at Spa Lady. My site overseer was the location manager, Stephanie Green, although I worked more directly with many of the trainers there. I did a lot of shadowing, and I mostly helped out with group circuit classes. So I didn't have like repeated extended interactions with individual clients, so I don't have much to offer in that regard for this part of the presentation. There were some that I saw a few times who, shared very interesting personal stories with me about their progress, but I didn't really get to personally witness or be a part of the progress of most of these clients. Although I did several times assist in program writing for like what they were going to do that day and so on, because the thing that Spa Lady does is like, circuit training that they change up a lot. So I'd be given like someone's program booklet for the past few months, and someone would tell me, okay, for this client, give her a half-hour workout that works all these, same muscle groups, but it has to be totally different from anything she's done for like the past 2 weeks, go. So that was an interesting challenge. Yeah, I completed 28 hours at Spa Lady, and most of my time there was spent assisting with that group training. This was a very valuable experience for me. I wanted more experience with group training. As I said, they also had me design some new daily workouts. I was also put into situations where I was expected to improvise stuff on the spot, and I would kind of see it coming, because the trainer who I was working with would be like, okay, you're helping me with this class, it's a bigger class, so you take these 3 or 4 women over here. And she'd hand me programs, and I'd look at it and be like, this isn't half an hour's worth of stuff. And she'd be like, no, you're going to have to think on your feet. And I'd be like, all right then. And I'd have to improvise stuff. I'd have to be like, okay, well, we've done these, we've worked upper body, we've worked core, we've done a bunch of pushing motions, so lower body and pulling motions enough to make another 15 minutes happen, let's go. And that was really valuable to me, that kind of, think of something. I also observed, and by observed I mean, participated in and got my butt kicked by high intensity interval class. That was something of interest to me, because that's a very popular thing right now, but I'm an endurance junkie, so I'm not very experienced with that. I asked the instructor about group instructor certifications, because I think that kind of thing would make me very employable. So group instructor certifications, particularly for high intensity interval stuff, has definitely been added to my professional development bucket list. It would also require me to branch out a little in terms of my personal interests. Again, like endurance junkie here. It killed me. On that note, rapport, the trainers were fairly impressed by my ability to be a good sport at that. Also about rapport, as that's a point I'm supposed to cover. The clients seem to like me. I seem to get to know some of the regulars. They all seem to like me. The trainers were impressed with my punctuality, my ability to design programs, especially on the spot. And, they just seem to get along with them in general. A challenge I had was working with groups in such a fast-paced environment. A big benefit, but also a big challenge. I did kind of learn something about myself and the style of stuff I want to do, in that it was a little frustrating for me even once I got good at it, because in that environment you don't have the time to optimize everyone's workout completely, right? It's like, as long as someone's not going to hurt themselves, you can't correct everything when you're working at like with 4 different people at once. And something I learned is, I think I kind of want to do more not strictly one-on-one, but in-depth stuff. I really like being able to like totally optimize something for someone, make sure their form is exactly perfect, make sure they're going to totally get like the 100% of the benefits out of this workout, But again, being comfortable with supervising a group and being able to come up with things on the spot, so valuable, and I'm really glad that I had that experience. So, measures of success for this. Basically, since this style of training was very new to me, my measure of success was being told if I was doing well or not. Apparently, I did pretty good. A big thing I did struggle with in the beginning, as I was told, my body language was kind of closed off. This is something in my life that it's never come naturally, and it's always been something I've had to work on. Like, okay, I know I can't do this. This looks too severe. Hands in pockets looks lazy. So I started like putting my hands behind my back a lot, but apparently that's kind of too authoritative for a lot of, environments as well. What the site supervisor eventually told me was like, look, if you don't know what to do with your hands, there is no shame in just holding something. Like, hold your booklet, hold your stopwatch, that's fine, that's fine. So I honestly just started doing that, and it helped. More measures of success. The clients who worked with me seemed satisfied that I'd met their needs. I can't think of an instance where I felt like I hadn't. But that said, again, I didn't really work consistently enough with anyone to be sure of having made a meaningful impact. Rating of my professional performance. I gave myself a 4 out of 5. Initiative and accountability, I gave myself a 5 out of 5. I don't feel like I was lacking. I took as many hours as I could. I volunteered myself into as many new experiences as possible. I was never late. I gave it my all. Communication, 4 out of 5. I really feel like I had some learning experiences. 4 out of 5 might be a bit generous even. By the end, I feel like I was a 4 out of 5. Maybe I started around more of a 3. My communication abilities did start to break down a little sometimes in the beginning, and being such a busy and fast-paced environment, especially after, being an online student for 2 years. Suddenly I'm like, whoa, out in the world again. 3, I wouldn't say this one was really applicable because I just helped with things that were already ongoing. Exercise and movement demonstration. I gave myself a 3 out of 5 because I improved in these areas a lot, but the fact remains that I had to be coached a lot, especially initially on cueing and spotting and stuff. Honestly, looking back, I took everything online, and in retrospect, taking the lab courses in person, since I do live in Edmonton, would have benefited me, but I feel like it worked out okay in the end. Punctuality and availability. Yes, I gave myself a 5 because I never messed that up, so. Knowledge gained, 5 out of 5. Huge learning experience, especially with regards to my ability to handle busy environments, interacting with clients, and cueing properly in body language. All quite a big deal. So my second practical location was with In Your Boots Fitness at Clearflex and Generate Fitness gyms. My overseer was Tony Harris, who's the founder and owner of In Your Boots. I completed 40 hours here. I did some shadowing, observed a class, but mostly wrote programs and worked directly with clients who I brought in. I also did some professional development specific to the location, namely the Alberta Trauma-Informed Care modules and a specific clinic that I can link to that was put on by the Pride Centre about creating inclusive spaces in your gym for gender and sexual minorities. The latter will actually count as professional development once I have CSEP certification, so that's nice. I'll talk about my main 2 clients who I trained here. One had trained with me before. It was nice to see her continue to progress. Her goals were anatomical adaptation as well as development of a basic level of aerobic fitness to be able to do anaerobic fitness training conducive to stage performance. It's not the person who was in the previous picture. My site overseer here suggested that I modified what was originally intended to be a continuation of the program I built for this client last semester, because there was a lot of potential to utilize corrective exercise techniques to address some movement imbalances that this client had. Over the time I spent with her, I saw a great improvement to these movement imbalances, and I'm confident that this client now has the tools to continue working on them in her own time. Or she might hire me, you never know. The next client, who I'll talk about in depth, was new to me. She was once into weightlifting, but was deconditioned. Also not the person in the slideshow. She too demonstrated movement and balance. My site overseer here was a corrective exercise specialist, and I have to say I've become very inspired to pursue such a course myself, due to the difference that it can make in people's lives and due to the work that I witnessed being done. A learning experience that this brought with it was returning to coursework from semesters past to really master it to the fullest extent and gain the fullest understanding of it possible. I've developed a much greater interest in that area than I had before now that I've seen it in action. Report, I'd say I developed a good report. The staff at both QueerFlex and Generate Fitness seem to like me. I've been given a lot of positive feedback. This next section was shorter because my challenges here were similar to those I had at Spa Lady, but the thing is that I'd gained some confidence from having been put through the ringer at Spa Lady a bit, and so they were less pronounced here. The grades I give myself in this regard reflect that. It's not that it wasn't a thing. It's that I'd already kind of had trial by fire in the very fast-paced environment, and the environment at both QueerFlex and Generate Fitness were like much slower environments. So I was able to really apply what I learned to the fullest extent possible. And yeah, that's my presentation. Thank you for watching. It's been a heck of a ride.